today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to make this Valentine's themed card using the Bloomin' Love stamp set from the 2016 Occasions catalog. So if you'd like to see how I made this card, please keep watching. To begin with this card, we're going to be using a piece of cardstock that measures 8.5 by 5.5 and just fold that in half. All the dimensions and products I use will be listed on my blog. This is our card base. We're going to set that aside. And for the background, I used a piece of Whisper White and kind of made my own DSP using an aqua painter and an ink pad. So this color I'm going to be using is Blushing Bride. You squeeze the top of it and you get a little pool of ink there. And our aqua painters, which are really cool, you just fill these with water and you can paint with them, do like really cool watercolor designs. So you're going to take your aqua painter, dip it in there, squeeze a little bit, like it's the water to come to the tip, and you just brush. And you don't want to go over the same spot too many times because this isn't watercolor paper. So it will kind of fold up on you. And what I like to do before I emboss it is set something heavy on top of it. I usually use my multi-purpose platform from my Big Shot, set it on top just so when it dries straight and you don't get a big folded piece of paper. I ran out of ink a little bit. If you do that, just squeeze. You could also use a re-inker. I don't have a Blushing Bride re-inker, so I'm using the ink pad. And I just kind of go back and forth. When you're done, your paper looks like this, and see how it's folding a little bit, it's curling. That's because this is not watercolor paper. So what I do before I emboss it, I set something heavy on it just to smush it down. And then when you actually go to emboss it, we're going to use the Arrows Impressions embossing folder. What I like to do is the part that says Physics and Stampin' Up on it, make sure that that part is down and you put your colored side up and run it through the Big Shot, and when you're done it looks like this. And I've also used our corner rounder to round the edges of this piece before I ran it through the Big Shot, and you get these cool watercolor effects on the back of there. And for the heart, I used the red foil sheets from Stampin' Up and the Bloomin' Heart Thinlits dies. And I used the biggest heart here. And I also did end up using the flowers, and I'll show you how to do those in a minute. First, we have our heart from the foil paper. And I find it's easier when you put your foil paper together. Most people like to do it this way, but I found that it's harder to get. This is a very intricate die, and it's very hard to get all the little pieces out. So I like to flip my foil over and make sure I put the Thinlit on the white side. That way it kind of pushes out everything, and it just I had a lot easier time getting everything out, and you really can't tell a difference between the two. I'm going to set that there. Taking a piece of Whisper White, we're going to stamp our flower images. You'll notice each flower has this little tab here. You want to make sure you know what the direction is that you're going because it lines up with the framelits. The framelits also have a little tab, and they match perfectly, so when you cut them out, everything's lined up. So I'm going to make sure my tabs face this way. And I need 2 of the bigger flowers in real red, and then 3 of the smaller. And also, while I have my real red ink pad out, we're going to take the front stamp from the Bloomin' Love stamp set, ink that up, and ink that onto a piece of Blushing Bride. So all our stamping is done, and I will cut these out and be right back. So So now our flowers are cut out, and I'm going to use the word window punch to cut out our friend from the Blushing Bride. Just kind of center it there. And now we just assemble. So since this die with the heart is such an intricate piece, we're going to be using the fine tip glue. And I like to go on the outside. I do it a little bit in the center too, but if you get the outside, that just makes sure it sticks. And again, since the embossed piece is kind of flimsy, I like to use something heavy like my multi-purpose platform to stick on top of it just until it dries. Stick that down. And you will get pieces of glue here if you're messy like me, so just be careful you don't stick it. Okay. And just kind of center it, push. And then I also use the fine tip glue pen for the flowers. And they line up with these, but I kind of like it better when they're offset. And then before we add any other pieces, I'm going to let this dry because the rest of our card is kind of raised up and it won't dry properly. So I'm going to set my platform on top of it. We'll let this dry and then we'll finish up the card. Okay, after sitting for a few minutes, I think our card is dry. So now we can add the rest of our pieces. And I am going to take the edges here of the Stampin' Dimensionals. I actually like the pointier edges better. Take 2 of those, just snip. Put it on the back of our friend. And center it towards the bottom there. And then some rhinestones jewels. And I think we lost a flower. Uh-oh. Okay, I'm back, and I found the flower that was stuck to the bottom of my multi-purpose platform. So now we're going to stick on our rhinestone jewels. And for the big flowers, I use the biggest ones. And for the smaller flowers, I use the medium size, which are these. Okay, and now we're ready to put this on our card base. So just taking some of the Tombow liquid glue. You want liquid glue instead of some like snail or fast fuse for this because of the detail of the design here. This gets all the nooks and crannies. Plus it gives you a little wiggle room to work with. And then again, since this is the way it is, I like to put something on top of it until the glue dries. And that is it. That is our finished card. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe. Thanks for watching.